Negotiations to end war, first with Trump, then with Putin. Zelenskyy believes Trump could be first world leader to fly to Ukraine, and how Lukashenko apologized at start of war and suggested striking a refinery in Belarus. We will talk about this with Michael Sheitelman, a political strategist based in Kyiv. Michael, glad to see you, as always, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Olga.
Michael, we'll talk about an interview of Volodymyr Zelenskyy with podcaster Lex Friedman, and President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has emphasized that Ukraine must have reliable security guarantees to end the war, not just a piece of paper, because the guarantors of the Budapest Memorandum didn't give a fuck about Ukraine. What guarantees we're expecting from the West and what they might be? Also, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said that the first talks on ending the war will take place with US President-elect Donald Trump after his inauguration, and then with Russian ruler terrorist Vladimir Putin if the American leader offers strong security guarantees for Ukraine.
Well, really, first, we want physical guarantees, not the law guarantees, not the paper, not the guarantees on the paper, but on the reality, let's say. That means foreign troops inside Ukraine, NATO troops. It could be troops of some of Ukrainian or of European countries or of United States. But we know that Mr. Trump plan. Looks like European troops inside Ukraine on the front line between Russia and Ukraine. So I understand from this interview that generally we agree for these troops inside Ukraine, but it is not enough. What was mentioned in this interview, it is also the membership in NATO, at least of non-occupied Ukrainian territory, which means 80% of Ukrainian territory will be covered by NATO guarantees, additional to the troops, it means, yeah? And the third condition is supplying a lot of weapon, and probably Mr. President Zelenskyy told not about the usual weapon, which we use now, usual American weapon, but the stronger American weapon. I don't exactly know what kind he meant, but he said in this interview that you should not worry about that because we will not use this weapon if Russia is not attacking again. So please supply us a lot of very strong weapon, supply Ukrainian army. So this is three conditions for guarantees. Speaking about this meeting with Trump first and with Putin afterwards, Mr. Zelenskyy meant also one very important point, that the forecast for, let's say, the next negotiation with Mr. Putin should be not the negotiation between three different sides, not the US, Ukraine, and Russia as equal forces. But this is negotiation between Russia on one side and Western partners on other side. It means Russia on the one side of the table, and on the other side of the table should sit Ukraine, United States, and as President Zelenskyy mentioned, Europe as well. So the idea of President Zelenskyy is first to build the common offer of Ukraine and Western allies, and to bring this offer to negotiation against Mr. Putin. That's the general idea. And it looks like exactly like a peace conference in Switzerland, which was in June last year, when 83 countries signed some conditions for the negotiations against Russia. And afterwards invited Russia to join these conditions. So President Zelenskyy wants now the same procedure. And generally, in this interview, all the conditions which were mentioned by Mr. Zelenskyy, it is the same, almost at least the same conditions which mentioned by Kit Kellogg, the special envoy for Ukraine and Russia by Mr. Trump, by President-elect Trump. So it looks like very realistic procedure. The only question is, does it look like Mr. Putin is ready to participate in this procedure or not. But obviously, Trump is ready and Europe is ready.
President Volodymyr Zelensky believes that, yes, President-elect Donald Trump could be the first world leader to fly to Ukraine, but that this will happen after the war is over. Zelensky said, yes, I'm looking forward to it, the reopening of Kyiv airport. Maybe we will open it, but only, and you must understand, if the war is over. There must be sustainable peace and air defense systems, to be honest. Do you believe in it?
Well, it is more metaphoric than a realistic step, but let's say when we really sign any agreement with Russian Federation about freezing the war, for example, not a peace agreement, but about freezing the war, about ceasefire, and this agreement in theory could be signed in presence of Mr. Trump. So as a symbolic step, Mr. Trump could fly from Washington, for example, to Kyiv immediately after that. But it is not just the metaphoric expression of how peace looks in the head of Mr. Zelensky. Peace, by the way, in the heads of a lot of Ukrainians, the symbolic meaning of peace is civil aviation flying over Ukraine, which we never have seen during the last 3 years.
Michael, Zelensky has stated that he respects American billionaire and Trump ally Elon Musk and would like Musk to fully support Ukraine. He said, first of all, I had a conversation with him, with Elon Musk, at the beginning of the war. He is a great leader of innovations in the world, and Zelensky said that he believed that such people move the world forward. Therefore, he respects the result of his work, and we see this result. What to expect from Elon Musk?
Well, it was an attempt to build at least peace agreement with Elon Musk before peace agreement with Russia. The last expressions of Elon Musk towards Ukraine were not very friendly. And he said a lot of, like, Ukrainians stole the money from US taxpayer. And he said a lot of negative information about Ukraine. And he also wanted from Ukraine to give some territories towards Russia, for example. So the policy of Mr. Elon Musk looks very friendly towards Putin and not towards Ukraine. But before the last US election, Elon Musk was only private person. Yeah, the richest man in the world, but the private person who is very rich and richest man in the world. But now, starting from November this year, he is part of political system of United States, obviously. Probably he will also take some official position in Trump administration, but at least he sits on the right. He looks like right-hand man of Mr. Trump, and I mean physically. Then, when we watched the celebration of New Year, so on the right hand of Mr. Trump on this celebration table was Elon Musk, and they danced together. So it is very important point now. And for Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky decided that it is the good point to try to persuade Elon Musk being on our side, on the side of Ukraine and not Russian Federation. And not only this part of speech which you mentioned was about Mr. Musk and about his international policy, let's say, of Elon Musk. Because in another part of President Zelensky's speech, he compared Putin and Elon Musk. And he said, you can't compare Elon Musk and Putin. Elon Musk is the superior engineer and superior innovator who builds the super modern missiles for exploring the universe. But Mr. Putin also built missiles, but he built missiles to kill people. And Mr. Putin is a very old-fashioned man and the man of the past, not of the future. And Elon Musk is the man of the future. So in this part of speech, I believe that President Zelensky told Elon Musk, you see, guy, you can't be in union with Mr. Putin. You can't be an ally of Putin. And this is better idea to have phone calls with Mr. Putin every month or every couple of months, like it happens now. Let's be on our side. We are the modern, we are the future. Putin is the past. And I believe that at least Elon Musk, he listened to that. I don't know what will be consequences, but what we could see that in his social network X, Elon Musk, it is the first time that he shared a speech of President Zelenskyy, and he didn't give any comment and any negative comment. So it looks like first step towards peace between Ukraine and Elon Musk.
Michael, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has revealed that he urged the US to impose preemptive sanctions on Russia before the full-scale invasion, describing their threats of sanctions in the event of an attack as bullshit. Zelenskyy said, I asked only for one thing, primarily from the United States. If you are sure, if you have evidence, if you talk to him, to Putin, and he tells you that there will be an invasion, if all this scares you, I only ask for two things. Send us weapons, or better yet, strengthen us with preventive measures so there would be no war. It wasn't the weapons that I was asking for, said Zelenskyy. I asked for sanctions. Intimidate him. Why were sanctions not introduced? It's even not a weapon, really.
Well, all this part of the interview, Mr. Zelenskyy didn't mention that, but it was about Kamala Harris, the vice president of US, and he described the real conversation with Kamala Harris on Munich Security Conference 2022, which was in the beginning of February 2022. So in fact, a couple of weeks or 1 week or 2 weeks, I don't remember exactly, before the full-scale invasion. And we know from press, we know from different articles, and exactly, from the book by some American journalist, the book which was called War, that on this meeting between Zelenskyy and Kamala Harris, she said that US will not supply any weapon and US will not put any sanctions on Russia before Russia start aggression, because by the administration, US administration in 2022, they thought that that the threat of sanctions should stop Putin. And if threat of sanctions doesn't stop Putin, let's just evacuate Zelenskyy and evacuate the government of Ukraine, and let's give all the Ukrainian territory towards Putin. It was the real conversation and the real offer from United States side. And President Zelenskyy in this speech just didn't mention this person, but everybody in Ukraine knows that it is the speech about Kamala Harris. So it is also some message to President-elect Donald Trump, like you see, we were not good friends with the previous administration, so let's be good friends with your administration.
Michael, also Zelenskyy has revealed that on the second or third day of Russia's full-scale invasion, self-proclaimed Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko apologized in a phone call for the missile strikes being launched on Ukraine from Belarusian territory, and even suggested that Ukraine retaliate by striking the Mother oil refinery in Belarus. How do you think? Did he want to provoke or what?
No, not exactly. First of all, we need to mention that we have to mention that Belarusian side, they have a reaction today on this interview, and official spokesperson of so-called Belarusian President Lukashenka,
that is not true.
I don't remember, Helen Eggert. She said that, first of all, she denies the fact of apology. She denies that. But she didn't deny the fact of this phone call. But she explained why Mr. Lukashenko called President Zelenskyy. And this is really funny explanation. If you could say during the word funny, so this is the funniest explanation during all of this war. She said that this is the son of Alexander Lukashenko, called President Zelenskyy. His son, he studied at school at this time, and the son somehow had in his phone the direct the phone number of President Zelenskyy, and he called President Zelenskyy, and just afterward he lent his phone to Alexander Lukashenko, to the Belarusian leader. So it looks like Mr. Lukashenko, yes, he had a conversation, but he didn't do a call. This is an explanation from Belarusian authorities, I'm sorry. Regarding what was in this conversation and all this story about Moser refinery, you could strike Moser refinery, for example. It was like it is not provocation. It was like the form of excuse. Like you want to give us back, to give some vendetta to us, should just hit oil refinery. It was obvious that nobody will hit oil refinery in this day. Yeah, today we hit oil refineries all over Russian Federation. But 3 years ago, Ukrainian army didn't have any equipment and any weapon to hit oil refineries, any of that. So it was absolutely unrealistic offer. And obviously it was just a figure of speech to say, just hit my refinery. By the way, this is not the only case then Alexander Lukashenko mentioned this refinery during this war. I remember that in November 2022, when there was a threat that Belarusian troops could cross the border with Ukraine, so Mr. Lukashenko asked publicly, it was publicly, not by phone call, he asked publicly not to hit Moser refinery. He asked from Ukraine, but please don't hit Moser refinery. If you hit Moser refinery, we really will cross Ukrainian border with our troops. So it looks like, some sacrificed object, this oil refinery in this war.
Michael, but it's really very strange to say hit the refinery. You know how much I care about it, the Moser oil refinery. And also Zelenskyy asked, what are you on about? What's retaliation? And how do you think, Michael, did Lukashenko have a choice to give his territory, Belarusian territory, for Russian troops, for invasion, or not?
No, absolutely not. It was not his choice. And from 2020, when Mr. Lukashenko lost his election, he lost with something like 30% of popular votes only. And from this point, from 2020, in Europe and in Ukraine, we call him not President Lukashenko, but self-proclaimed President Lukashenko, because he lost to Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who collected 70% of votes, and Mr. Lukashenko only 30%. So in 2020, there was a national revolution, popular revolution in Belarus, not only huge protest, but in fact revolution. And he was on the edge to lose his power in Belarus, and Russia sent police troops to help him in Minsk physically, I mean. And everybody who participated in this revolution, every Belarusian people with whom I spoke to, they said that only Russian military groups and Russian police forces, they stayed between Belarus people and Mr. Lukashenko. So Mr. Lukashenko, his authority in Belarus, his power is Russian power, not his own power. So he didn't have any choice, and nobody asked him. And by the way, during this war, I don't remember exactly the date, but about a year ago, in one of his interviews inside Belarus, he said that he didn't give any improvement for attacking Ukraine by Russian forces from Belarusian territory. He said they came to our territory, Russian troops came to our territory for military trainings, and afterwards, when withdrew from our territory, when they withdrew not towards Russia, but towards Ukraine. But what could I do with that? It was his official position in his interview.
Michael, and about Macron's statement, French President Emmanuel Macron believes Ukraine must have realistic discussions on territorial issues. Macron urged Ukrainians to have realistic discussions on territorial issues because only they can do so in order to find a solution to the conflict, to the war caused by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. What did Macron hint at? Because realistic discussions, what he is talking about?
Not the first time he hints. I remember that at the beginning of the war, he called, or he came to Kyiv. No, he called President Zelenskyy and asked him to give to Russia Crimea Peninsula, for peace. And when President Zelenskyy did that public, brought this fact of this call public, and it was like the shame on Macron in 2022 that he offers to Ukraine just to give its sovereignty towards Russia. And now he can't say it openly like he said it 3 years ago. But he wants to prepare, let's say, Ukrainian delegation to negotiation in the United States, and he wants us to agree for ceasefire on the current front line. This is the condition of Americans, obviously, and I believe this is the conditions of Macron now. But our official authorities said that we are ready to ceasefire not on the current front line, but on the front line of 2022, when Crimea and part of Donbass was occupied by Russia, but the rest of Ukraine was not occupied by Russia. So instead of 20% of territory, it was about 13 or 14% of territory was occupied by Russian Federation. So I believe that all the negotiation between, I don't mean the negotiation with Mr. Putin, but the negotiation between our allies, France, US and Ukraine, were about this question. Is Ukraine ready for ceasefire on current front line or on any other line?
Michael, thank you for this interesting as always conversation. Thank you. And also I want to remember that Michael Sheitelman, a political strategist based in Kyiv, was with us today. Michael, I wish you all the best and also wish our audience all the best. Subscribe on our YouTube channel, War and Politics, and also subscribe on Michael Sheitelman's YouTube channel. See you.
Thank you, Olga. Bye.